Years ago, I shot 10 bags of heroin every day. Heroin is a beast, and that beast has infiltrated every town and city in America. In 2016, 64,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose of opioids. I hope that the stories we bring you on this show save lives in 2018. I'm Richie Farrell. I'm a heroin addict.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I am a heroin addict. I'm really excited.
Years ago, I shot 10 bags of heroin every day.
We have a president of a nonprofit organization that's going to be in for our second show here with us. So Richie, how are you tonight?
Me?
Yeah, Richie, how are you tonight?
Great, good to see you, darling.
Yes,
great to see you. It's always great. We have a fantastic show. I can't wait to hear all about it. So how's your week been? Okay?
Yeah, my week's been good. It's always busy, but that's what happens when you're in the business of helping people and you've recovered from this thing. It's our duty to extend our hand and help others. What about you?
Well, you know, it's crazy when I don't see things getting better.
Yeah.
I see them getting worse and worse, and I see this whole harm reduction thing. It's making.
Oh, we're starting already with
we're
harm
going to
reduction.
start off. It gets me really mad, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. I was in Boston this week at a meeting, and there's all these people that are running the show in mass, right? And I use the word junkie a couple times, right? In like the next 20 minutes we spent in this meeting talking about me calling myself a junkie, how degrading that was. And I was listening to these.
People are literally dying right now.
I was listening. I said, you know something? This is bullshit. And they were like, what? Because they were doctors and stuff. I said, we just spent 20 minutes debating the word junkie when every 16 minutes someone's dying out there. That's why we're getting our ass kicked here. So I'm a little bit, I usually wait to start talking about my dislike for how we're going at this thing, but I'll start right away. But
you're fired up. It's good. I love
I'm fired up. I think we got to start kicking ass here, you know?
Well, I think one thing's for sure, that if you look at society, there is a lot more help nowadays, right? If you look at, there are so many things going on. There are treatment centers popping up everywhere. You know, if that's your thing, MAT, harm reduction. There are support groups, but as a total, things are getting worse.
Yeah.
So that tells me that there's something bigger going on here, and that for me, that tells me that there's something going on in society.
But my thing, and I'm going to keep hopping at it, and people are going to keep getting mad, is abstinence. We have to, I'm not telling people I'm not shaming or guilting anybody. I just think we have to start talking abstinence, whether it's 6 months, a year, whatever it may be, whatever that individual needs in that harm reduction period. I get that. But to use these medically assisted treatments for 8, 9, 10 years, and to 7, 5, to think we're going to get any better, that gets me going. But I'll stop.
Well, the individual never gets better. The community at large never gets better. There is no healing happening.
And there's a program out there in the basement of churches and these rooms and hospital. I can't talk about the program, but there's places out there that don't cost any money we can go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're working.
And you can find love and connection, and guidance.
We should get on with this because we have a beautiful guest here.
We do.
That probably thinks I'm crazy. So
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing your passion with us, and you had talked about like how things are getting worse, right? And they are, and which is really cool about today's segment, because today's segment is about nonprofit organizations.
Right.
And so our Skype guest that we have here is a beautiful young lady who's going to come on and share her story with us here. Her name's Liz. Hi, Liz.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Doing good, Liz. So the viewers in the audience can get to know you. Just share a little bit about yourself with our viewers.
Okay. I I'm 32. I grew up on the South Shore in Massachusetts. I've been struggling with addiction since I was 13.
Where in the
the first
where
time
in
I,
the where in the South Shore? I like to know.
Randolph.
Randolph. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Randolph, good old Randolph. Yeah. So, I mean, I struggled with addiction right away. The first time I ever drank, I ended up in the hospital with alcohol poisoning. I
How
started
old?
opiates.
How old
How
were
old
you
was I?
Yeah,
13.
13. Okay.
Yes.
And how old were you when you started opiates?
I was like, I would dabble when I was like 16, 17, but it didn't get bad until I was like 18, 19.
Now I
Um,
keep breaking in, and you'll see this of me because
That's fine.
because I'm old and my old brain
Yeah, you
needs
look
to
old.
thank you very much. He says I look old. So the thing that when you were young,
Richie, I think you look great for your age.
thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I did 400 push-ups today.
Kidding.
Not many
Good
can do
for
that,
you.
but
That's
anyway.
impressive.
But in the reality of the situation, I wanted to figure out, like when you were 13, you say you first time the alcohol point. Did you feel like you were like a normal 13, or did you feel like disconnected, or how did you feel growing up?
I mean, like, I was pretty normal. I played sports. I rode horses. I got good grades. I had a good family. I just always felt like I, like, was bored with where I was, or, like, I needed something more. Like, I had a lot of friends, but, like, I was like a chameleon. Like, I'd get along with everybody, but I never felt like I, like, fit anywhere, if that
So you
makes
struggled
sense.
with a connection with self. Is that
Correct.
that's what it sounds
I
like?
didn't know
Okay.
that at the time, but yes.
Right. So you'd show up however anyone wanted
Right.
you to, and then you found
Exactly.
comfort to be self with alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it made me more secure with myself then. I always chased like struggling with self, like by finding something outside to fix it. And when I found that was, the most relief I had ever felt. And like, even though I ended up like really, really sick in the hospital for a week, I couldn't wait to like do it again. Like, that's the first thing I remember is getting up and being so sick and everyone being so worried. And like, I could not wait to do it again.
So how did you get introduced to our little friend opioid? How did that all
I
come?
grew up in like the OC era. Everybody was doing it. I was kind of a party girl in high school. I liked to skip school and smoke weed, and I thought it was like normal teenage stuff. I thought like it was a phase, and I was young, and that's what people did, and like partying was fun to me, so that's what I wanted to do. I started taking them recreationally, and like things just they progressed rather quickly. And then I said I would never, stick a needle in my arm. I would never do heroin, but OCs got expensive, and heroin was more accessible. So when I was sick, I would sniff it. I said I would never shoot it because I had seen so many friends, like go like down the drain from using needles, and I promised myself I would never do that. But one day I tried it because I was gonna wake up the next day and never get high again. So like I needed to try it before I stopped.
Yeah.
And it was off from there.
So tell me, how long did you stay on that run of heroin?
The first time I used it was about a year before I went to detox. I went to detox, I would get small stints of sobriety, like 3 months, 6 months, here and there. And then eventually.
During that time, were you on Suboxone?
I knew it was coming.
I was not yet.
You weren't
but
yet.
I self-medicated
Well,
very well.
I was gonna say let's skip to the punchline for Richie.
Right.
How did MAT work for you? What was your experience
did
with
not.
MAT? Wow.
So for those people that don't understand MAT, what does that stand for?
Medication assisted therapy.
Yeah. So
Treatment, sorry.
medicated assistance. So it's medication treatment really is what. Take the A out because they don't assist. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
You had already identified that, like, before you even started using drugs, that you disconnected with self, and that you were using a substance to provide comfort. So
Right.
So when you were on MAT, Suboxone, what did that look like for you?
It was not good. It was a Band-Aid, basically. Like, you know, it didn't fix like the initial problem, which was like not being okay with self and like not being able to sit with self. So I would only use it, you know, if I couldn't get my drug of choice, or to sell to get my drug of choice. It didn't fix anything. I didn't get better. My life didn't get better. I wasn't willing to change anything in my life because I had that to rely on as like a security blanket. And I used it the same way I used heroin. It's just a more acceptable drug to society, you know? So when I told people I was on Suboxone, it was better than being like, yeah, I'll be right back. I'm going to go shoot up in your bathroom. You know what I mean? Like,
what did your behaviors look like on Suboxone? Like, were you still out like doing harmful behaviors to society?
Yeah, I would. I mean, it was better because if I was sick, I had those to sell as opposed to like, you know, doing whatever I had to do to get drugs.
Right.
So I mean, like maybe it made like my behaviors a little bit safer, I guess. But like as far as like my family and my loved ones, like I hurt them more. It was insane. My mother was hiding my prescriptions, like feeding them to me daily. I was, you know, searching my house, like tearing it apart to find the prescription. You know,
were
it still
selling
caused
them?
a lot of damage. Yes.
You were selling them, so if you got arrested for that and all went well with Donald Trump, you would be killed. You'd get the death penalty.
Yeah, but see, the thing that I'm not a big Trump guy, you know, but I don't know why. I don't know why everybody's upset about this whole, you know, executing drug dealers. If he wants to start with like Purdue Pharma, the Sacklers who brought in this, start there. Let's execute all the people who made billions on.
Oh my God, no! That is not going to fix society. They're the drug dealers, though.
I mean, he wants to take some strung-out junkie that's selling the Suboxone to, you know, in place.
Murdering someone isn't
you know,
be a solution.
I know. That's
but even if he kills them, there's always going to be somebody else. There's always going to be somebody looking to make money off of other people's weaknesses, and like someone else is just going to step in. I feel like the problem is like you guys talking about like treating it like, you know, with abstinence and like the people who are using it is the only way it's ever going to get better. There's always going to be people that are willing to make money off of, you know, us.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we have to take a stand.
Exactly.
Right? Like no one's marketing me today. No one's making money off me today. I'm not a consumer today. I'm not helping make the rich richer today. And I know who I am and I have passion and I have purpose and no one's taking that from me today.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do that if I was on any mind or mood altering substances. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to own my truth so strongly.
Because I believe that we are handcuffed to our addiction by Suboxone. And everybody gets mad, and something Jazz just said that's right on, is that they're frightened of us. And they're frightened of us because they can't make money off us.
Right.
Right? Is that I'm not for now, let's explain what we're talking about. So because I'm so strongly against what's happening today that people look at it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. I'm for harm reduction, right? Because harm reduction keeps us alive another day, right?
Correct.
That's the whole point, that the government wants the numbers to work out, keep it alive. But that harm reduction shouldn't be forever. Suboxone and methadone shouldn't be forever, because we know it's not working. So I'm not telling anybody that's watching here or anybody that I'm not for keeping people alive another day. I'm for it. I'm for. There are some people out there that think they should be 3 strikes and you're out. If the EMTs come third time, they should let you die. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, I had a doctor say that to me, saying that an EMT told him there were 5 places to the same thing. It's like that person should have died 5 times. And don't they work? No, they're addicted. So I don't believe. I think that's bull. But I think we have to us. Mm-hmm. Have to be the ones that make a stand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be easy to make a stand. No. Right?
Yeah.
So how did you finally come to the place you're at right now?
So I will say that when I was on Suboxone and when I went on it initially, I truly believed that I would be able to maintain my life better when I was on Suboxone. And when that totally fell apart, you know, like everything stayed the same, if not got worse. I was using more because I had something to sell to get my drugs. And I was a lot sicker from the medication when I didn't have anything. And like it did, you know, Suboxone did help bring me to a place of like pure hopelessness that like I just realized that like I wasn't getting relief anymore. Like I was in so much pain even when I was using. It wasn't like any big consequence. Like, you know, I've been arrested, I've been sectioned, I've overdosed, I've lost my child. None of those things mattered. But like when I was so sick to the point where like I couldn't even, you know, stand up to take care of my own child or like go to work or even call into work. And like I truly believe that had a lot to do with the fact that I was also using Suboxone. I just decided I couldn't do it anymore. I've known Amy for 10 years. I met her in a church basement that my mom made me go to. She tried to help me then. She tried to show me, you know, the steps, and I wanted nothing to do with it. But I've kept in touch with her over the years. I've gone to like Dennis Nothing
Can I
events.
ask you a question? Why did you keep in touch with her?
Well, at first it was because my mom made me, and you know, it was a way to like escape. Like Amy's a great person; she's fun. So like, you know, if I had to go like to these meetings, I was gonna go, but like I'd rather go with Amy, you know. And then like my family was happy because I was with Amy, so it was like a safe place I could go, and my mom wouldn't worry, or like, you know what I mean? Like I could go do my thing, but still, you know, kind of look like I was being a good person. And we developed a
So Amy is our next guest, and she runs the what? Explain.
Dennis Nothing Memorial Foundation. It's a foundation that will send people that don't have the financial backing to go to solution-based programs that cost money. Like, so for me, I had been to a bunch of state-run facilities. They don't, you know, do any 12-step work there. And I knew about some places that did. I had known a lot of people that I thought were totally hopeless, that would never get better through these places. But I did not have the money to go there, and nobody was really willing to put any sort of money into any treatment for me anymore. I had been everywhere else.
So those solution-based places, are they like the churches you go to, kind of like that?
They are, except you live there, and they really break it down for you.
Your story gives me goosebumps. It really does.
I mean, because like I've always gone to church basements since I was young. You know, since that alcohol poisoning, my mom's made me go to church basements, but I never looked into anything deeper. I never really got into the work. I thought I knew everything because I went to those places, but I didn't. I knew nothing. So when I finally became hopeless enough, like, you know, I called Amy one day and I said, okay, like, I'm willing to do whatever you want me to do. Like, I'm finally ready to listen. What do you want me to do? And she told me to fill out the application. And I did, and I went to detox. They made me go to a CSS for a couple weeks to make sure I was serious and I wasn't going to leave. And then they sent me to a treatment center. And I didn't totally believe like that anything was going to be different, but it was.
Okay, let's explain to the audience what's they made you go to CSS?
Yes.
So explain that.
It's a clinical stabilization service, I think it stands for. But it's somewhere you go after the initial detox where they detox you physically. You're not on any medication anymore. And you basically just go there. It's like a waiting period. You stay there. There's minimal groups. You basically just exist there until you find placement in another program. It's kind of like an in-between.
Yeah, you kind of like sit in one room and look at the wall.
You sit and stare at the wall. It's awesome.
I know.
So Liz, so you were given this really cool opportunity that not many people in life get, and you received this scholarship. Yeah. I received a scholarship too, and I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for that scholarship. Mine was from a different organization. But so as a result of receiving that scholarship and as a result of DMMF stepping in and helping you, what does your life look like today?
My life is great. It's crazy. It's busy, but I'm back at home with my son. He's 2.5. Wow. I'm a full-time mother to him. Like a year and a half ago, I wasn't even allowed in the same room with him, and I had lost custody. I was almost charged with kidnapping, but yeah, no. So I have him full time in my life, and I go back to the treatment center I was at. I help other women. I sponsor women. I'm very active in like the community. I volunteer for Dennis Messing as much as I can. Anything they need, like I love to help with them because, like you said, I wouldn't be here without them, and like I want this to keep continuing so they can help other people. I like truly believe that I would be this way forever, and like I know I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for them.
Liz, hold on one second. Hey, we just had there we go, the question. So the audience, the viewers are watching this live and they send in questions, and we have a question for you. Okay. I don't know if you can read it on your end, but it is, what is the most effective way to help someone, and they put in quotations here, who is willing to transition from MAT to abstinence-based recovery?
For me personally, I had to go away. I had to be removed. I think it was a process. It wasn't like I decided one day that I wanted to get better. I was willing, but it didn't necessarily always stick. It took a lot of hard work and it took a lot of pain. I had to be willing to like sit with all that uncomfortability that like I was never willing to sit with before, and remove anything that like I could cling on to get some sort of instant gratification, and like go through the work the way that like people wanted me to. But like, you can do this work anywhere. You don't necessarily have to go away. But if to transfer off at MAT, like my recommendation is to remove yourself for a little while, because I mean, if I'm being honest, it probably gets worse before it gets better. But like it gets so much better and it's so worth it. But it's not easy. That brings up
another really good topic. So for me, I think about when I'm broken, I'm lost, I don't know who I am, I'm really vulnerable, right?
Right.
And you were really fortunate that the DMMF took you in under their wing, and they look into these treatment centers. They just don't send you to any treatment center. They look into it. And so we talk about Big Pharma, and we talk about like all this other stuff going on, but there are people in the treatment world that are taking advantage of drug addicts coming in too. So even though that you're willing to go away and remove yourself away from the substance, like, you know what I mean? You've got to make sure that you're getting yourself into a good group of individuals that are going to cultivate a community that genuinely really want to help you and guide you.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing that, one of the things, and it's in quotes there, who is willing. For me, you talk about when you got to the end. I always like to say, when people surrender, when they put their hands up, it's like, it doesn't matter who you're surrendering to. It doesn't matter. When your spirit is done and you just have nothing left, that's when you're willing to do whatever it takes, right? Yeah. It's friggin', it's difficult. It's not going to get... It's not easy to do, and no one's gonna give you a little tab of something to put on your tongue to make it a little bit better. You're gonna have to suck it up. You're gonna have to suck it up, right?
Absolutely.
And so, but your son, right? Your son's 2.5 now. So how long was he out? How long was he out of your life?
So, I mean, when I was in the treatment center, after about a month, my mom would bring him to see me. She, would bring him once a week, and I slowly transitioned back into his life. Normally when I go away, because I've been away since he's been born, I do everything I can, like, to get home right away, because I tell myself my son needs to be his mother. Like, I need to be there. But this time I accepted that, like, the best thing I could do was to be away from him and work on myself and get this right. And it was very painful to stay away. Like, as a mother, it's really unnatural to put yourself before your child. Like, everything in you says, put that kid first. But, like, that was part of the reason that, like, I couldn't stay sober, because I kept putting him first and thinking that, like, being a mother would fix me, and it didn't. I stayed away. I took things really slow, and I took extra time, like, to be away and to really get this right, and to, really, like, focus on what I needed to be better and, like, what I was missing in life. And, like I said, it wasn't easy to be away for longer. Like, I was okay. I was sober and I was well for a while, 6-7 months before I was back home with him. And even when I was back home with him, I still asked for a lot of help. It wasn't like immediately just throwing myself back into motherhood, because it's difficult to do, especially as a single mother, and maintain my recovery. And I still, till this day, put my recovery before my child. I have to.
Absolutely.
You know, like there's many nights that like I miss putting him to bed because I'm on a commitment, or, you know, with a sponsee, because I know, like, and it gets frustrating, but that's what I have to do to stay sober and be present for him. And I know that if I stop that and I put him first, like, I will lose it all. And I don't want that. I'm not willing.
So let me ask you what you think, as someone that, you know, is right in the thick of a recovery. You're right there. That's the basis of your life. There's people dying. You know, at the last reports that I read this week were every 16 minutes someone in America dies. Every 16 minutes. That's a lot of people.
It is.
And we have all these things in place. The back to the harm reduction again. But
don't get him going.
What do you think the biggest obstacles are for us to you know, to that are out there right now that you see as someone in the trenches every day in recovery?
I mean, to be honest, I think the obstacle is us. Like that person said when they put, like you were talking about willingness. I mean, for a long time, like I always knew I didn't want to live the way I was living, but I wasn't really willing to do anything to get better. I knew it was going to be difficult. You're so comfortable. You're so used to that. I mean, this work, I truly believe will work for anybody, but you have to want it and you have to be willing to put it in. And until, I feel like, unfortunately, and once you cross that line, until you're totally like surrender and hopeless, it's, you know, it can't work unless you want it to. And I think, like, you know, it's sad, but that's the real problem is us. We're not willing to, you know, go to any lengths. We might say we are, but we're not.
What are your thoughts? I'm just curious, because those people that view it every week know where I stand with this. What are your thoughts around the fact that, like, you get an individual well, right? You go away, you go to treatment, you go do whatever you do. You have some kind of experience there, and you get to know yourself on a deeper level. But then you take that individual and you place them back into a sick society. I mean, if those are your thoughts, that society is sick, I personally believe that, like, all of society are very, very sick individuals today.
Except me. Except me.
I'm the sickest. Of course. He's the sickest. That's why I love working with him.
I mean, yeah, that's hard. Like, even when I moved home, you know, I was in treatment for 10 months. And like, I still had a hard time. I still have a hard time sometimes now. Like, people are sick, but, you know, it's a matter of what you're willing to do inside. It's not like an outside fix. So if you are internally working to make yourself better, like, my spiritual condition has to be maintained. And like, that word scared me for a long time. I thought like, you know, people who were spiritually fit were like really weird and like wore like button up shirts and like didn't laugh at inappropriate jokes. And like, you know, like I had this like perception of like what spirituality was. And like, that kept me away from like, you know, trying to do the work for a very long time. But like, if you're okay within, like, as much as like the problem was within, like, I truly believe the solution is too. And like, it's a matter of like tapping into that and like not even relying on any outside sources, not relying, you know, I call my sponsor, I have a sponsor, but like, I have to like rely on like my spirituality to keep me sober no matter what. And like, that's, I think, that what's going to make or break you, whether you're in society or not, or no matter where you are, you need to know that like, you're going to be okay no matter what. And that's something that comes from inside.
And what is, you know, we hear spirituality all the time. We hear that, oh, we spare, oh, they're not that spare, oh, they're spare. And it's like, what does that mean? I mean, I'm asking you. I know, but what do you think for you?
So for me, it's a sense of like peace and serenity. I think so. That's like the best way I can describe it. It's not religious. Like, I pray, you know, I have like a relationship with a higher power, but like, I'm not even I still can't really exactly explain to you like what my higher power is. And like, you know, it's really just like a feeling of being okay no matter what. Like, I truly believe that like, no matter what happens, if I maintain like the condition I'm in internally, that like no matter what happens, no matter how bad it is, that like I can be okay if I continue to, I do that through like meditation, through helping other people, through, being like kind to others and my mother and my family that I've like hurt so many times, like showing up for people that like I've wronged so many times in the past. Like that to me, like it makes me okay. Like I can sit down at night and, close my eyes and, not want to die. And like that feeling to me is like what I define as spirituality, like that just sense of inner peace and being okay.
Absolutely. That's fantastic, because to me, that's exactly what it is for me. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to screw up.
Right.
I do every day.
It doesn't mean that I'm not going to say something. It's not going to mean that an emotion comes off. We have another question here.
We have a statement in it. It's really good. It's profound. Religion is man telling us what God wants. Spirituality is your own personal relationship with a higher power of your understanding.
Yeah.
And I love that they use that word relationship, because it's a give and a take. And you talked about all this service that you're doing.
Yeah.
And in return, you're about, what, a year and a half sober?
Yeah, I had a year, December 12th.
And you have a lot of really awesome things that you've already been given that most people don't get. So that's a clear indication to me that you're putting in a lot of work into that relationship.
Yeah, it is a relationship. Someone described me as that. Like, even if you're in a relationship with like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you have to put in time or like the relationship doesn't get better. And I think a lot of us, expect to have this like relationship immediately. And that wasn't the case for me. Like I always hear people say like, oh, I can't start this work because I don't believe in a higher power. Like I don't have a relationship. Of course you don't. Like you've been living like a scumbag for the past few years. Like right. I had to take time to like develop that relationship. It didn't happen overnight. Like it wasn't easy. It took work, but like it got there and it's good today.
Yeah. I can't believe how fast this half hour went. You were an unbelievable guest.
Yes, thank you.
We just loved having you on. We want to thank the audience. I want to thank my co-host and constant pain in the butt here and constantly keeps me grounded.
Yeah.
You were fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for everything you do and having me.
All right. God bless.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. I am a heroin addict. My name is Jasmine, and I'm here with our host, Richie Farrell.
Co-host. What are you talking about? I'm not the host.
You are the host.
You were the co-host.
This is what I have to deal with all the time. So today we have a great topic. The topic of today's show is nonprofit organizations. And for those of you that saw the show right before this one, we had a wonderful guest, Liz, who was scholarshiped through a foundation, DMMF. And for this show right now, we have the president of DMMF here with us, who actually is in recovery herself. So
wait a minute, say that 5 times fast.
I can't.
I
can't. I'm gonna end up saying something really bad, possibly inappropriate.
And the key thing, the one thing that I want to make sure we say is that we're talking about nonprofits, but not like nonprofits that pay their CEOs $1 million a year. We're talking about nonprofits in recovery that are in this fight to help people stay alive. So without
go for it.
No,
you bring her in. Yeah, you bring her in.
Hi.
I told you.
Hello.
It's like a crazy
How are you?
here.
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. So tell us about yourself. No, first tell us about this DMM.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the Dennis Messing Memorial Foundation, and we are a nonprofit, like you said. We're a 501c3, but we are also 100% volunteer, which I think separates us from a lot of different organizations, charities, foundations, is that nobody gets paid. So it's literally a few of us that kind of just all run it and volunteer, and we have meetings at my house with my 2 kids running around, and it's crazy, but it's good, and we've helped like almost close to 50 people now go to.
Wow. When did you start?
So we started in 2015.
Wow. That's
And
amazing. That's a lot of work.
So yeah, it's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. And right now the committee is, there's 2 of us, and there was 3. One passed away in November of an overdose, and he was like my right hand. Yeah. And so he was actually the reason the whole foundation started. And 2015, he needed help, and my cousin had passed away in 2013, and I had this like drive, this push where I felt like God wanted me to do something. And
who was your cousin?
My cousin, no, my cousin was named Freddie, and Dennis died like a month the day after him. So what happened was I had this like push and called a few people, and everyone's like, just wait, mind you, I'm like pregnant with my first daughter, and my husband's going like, all right, enough, And so what happened was I waited, and I was like, I was told by a friend of mine that if God wants you to do this, he'll put it in front of you. Yeah. And then my friend Steven was struggling in 2015, and he just like really, I knew, I was like, he's not gonna make it. Yeah. And so he was in detox, and I called him, and I had his girlfriend at the time call and say, hey, do you mind if Amy starts a GoFund to get you up to treatment in New Hampshire? And he said, whatever. So I said, can I use your picture? He said, yes. So I did. Went viral, raised a few thousand that day.
Wow.
Yeah, went on a commitment in a church basement a few nights later, and I saw Kim Messing, who is Dennis's wife, and Dennis had died of an overdose before, and she had raised money in his name, and she said to me, what are you doing with Steve? What's up? And I'm like, he needs help. So I told her about the GoFund, what was going on. She said, let me write the rest of the check, and I said, okay.
I'm literally gonna cry.
And that's how it started. So we kind of got together at my house. We got him up to treatment. He went through the program. Like we decided, Kim basically said to me, like, if you want to take this and run with it, like it's yours, keep Dennis's name. And I'm like, and it was literally like God, like just kind of drove the foundation. And so Steve got out of treatment and said, I want to do whatever I can to help. And he just jumped right on board. And he was literally like the other half. And our friend Emily, we met her in the middle of it. She was volunteering, and she became part of the committee. And we just kind of like were off and running. And so Steve interviewed all the men. I interviewed all the women. Like Liz talked about, we interview them. We make them go to holding for a couple weeks, and then we send them. And so, it was really like, it was awesome, We've had a bunch of fundraisers, stuff like that. And then in October, Steve relapsed. And we had an event around that time, and I remember saying to him, like, it doesn't seem like you're okay. Do you know what I mean? And then come to find out he relapsed, and he ended up passing away in November.
Fentanyl?
So I didn't get the full, he actually passed away in detox.
He did?
Yeah. And so, which is a whole other story.
Not at RCA.
No, that wasn't him. That wasn't him. But so it's obviously devastating, and I almost like I still can't really wrap my head around that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
So I mean, and he was kind of like where it all started. Do you know what I mean? But I know that he would want us to like keep moving, and he was one of the main people helping Liz, and so it's definitely one of those things where like like the basketball tournament was his thing he ran, so we're gonna do it in memory of him this year, you know, and so we're just putting one foot in front of the other and trying to help as many people as we can, you know.
So how do you get your funds? What, you know?
It's literally donations, fundraisers. We're trying to get grants. Like I've applied for a few grants. We're trying to get, but because it's only a few, like 2 people, and then we have a board of directors that's like 4 people, but there's not a lot of us, so it's like we have to fundraise. So we have a comedy show coming up, a basketball tournament coming up, and all that stuff. So we do those things. We get auction raffle items, stuff like that. But we're trying to make connections with other places to get donors and stuff like that, because we literally like are flooded with applications on a daily basis. I mean, we have to say no to people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the hard part, is that we run out of money so fast, like as fast as we raise it, because it's going directly to the people.
So anybody watching,
yes, if you would like to donate,
yes,
Absolutely.
that's not what the show is about today, but
right,
but
and it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if you are looking for a new thing,
and Liz was scholarshiped, and look at how
Yeah.
successful she's doing. And I wasn't a scholarship case through DMMF, but like people do come out of that successful, because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't receive a scholarship.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
And would like to think that I'm thriving in my life today, and I'm giving back to the community.
Right.
So that
Right,
money goes
right.
to a good purpose, because these individuals get well and they give back to the community.
Absolutely.
So.
And the other side of what we do is we do a DMMF Kids, and what that is for children left behind
That
due
is
to
so
overdose,
beautiful.
or if you have a parent in active addiction or one that passed.
So what do you do?
So they can, whoever the guardian of the children are, can apply to us, and we will do anything from, we've done camp scholarships, like send kids to camp over the summer, sports. What else have we done? School supplies, anything. Like if somebody needs car seats or strollers, or you know what I mean. There's so many things that.
And you guys are just volunteers, like working
Yeah.
to get any kind of funding that you
Yep.
can, and 100% of that profit goes to help people.
Exactly.
There are not many organizations
They can
in
say
this
that.
world that are
They can
built
say
that
that.
way. Like
Yeah.
kudos to you.
It's really hard.
honestly.
That's hard.
But it's great.
That's
Yeah.
hard. It must be rewarding.
That's what makes it, I think, really, and like I said, I feel like this whole thing has been God-driven, and I feel like that's what kind of keeps it that way, is because it really is nonprofit, and it really is about helping the next person, and really is, the reason it started too is like, we were sick of burying our friends. You know what I mean? Like literally just sick of watching people die, and like I've buried so many since then, but I've also get to see people like Liz, and I get to see people like that actually do get sober, whether through us or somewhere else.
Right.
I get to see them actually be successful in their lives and be a mom to their.
So what drove you to this?
To what?
To this fight, this battle? that
Well,
you're in? What-
I've been sober. I just celebrated 11 years sobriety myself.
All right.
Yeah, and so
So you used to go to those church
I
basements.
still do. I frequent church basements,
I
if
met
you
her in
will.
some place kind of like a church.
Kind of,
basement.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, but like really losing my cousin was like kind of like the first, it was devastating, you
Right.
know, when he was running with us and going to church basements and, you know, doing like the things that we do to try to get well, and we lost him, you know, and that was kind of like, wow, like this is somebody I've known my whole life, right? And we were so close. And then a month almost to the day, Dennis Messing passed, and he was part of our little crew. And that happened, and then it was like just one after another, you know, a lot of my childhood friends, like really
So did
close
Dennis
people.
overdose?
Yes. Yep.
He did.
Yeah. And
he was an alcoholic too, but
he overdosed, yeah. And so, and that was just, I think those two were the beginning of like what we see now as the epidemic, because it was, you know, a while ago.
Yeah.
But it's like not getting any better, and we're just losing people every day.
And there is just so much. I go on tangents, but it really is. There's so much assistance out there today, and it gets better in the stigma.
You mean medical assistance?
Here we go.
Hold on, before we get into MAT, don't worry, viewers, it's coming. The MAT debate.
Yes.
We have a question from a young lady named Tara for you.
Okay.
Also, by the way, anyone that's watching, Amy has brought in all kinds of stuff from DMMF. I'm wearing this shirt. It says #2069, which is the number of fatal overdoses in the state of Massachusetts in 2016, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you guys can't see the back of it, but it has a list of names on the back of it. So she's brought in keychains, hats, hoodies, there's t-shirts, there's long sleeve shirts, there's winter hats over there. She hooked us up. So anyone, go ahead, sorry.
And for a check for $2,069,
It's all
we'll give it all to you.
Yeah.
So anyone that sends in questions, DMMF has left something here for us to give to you. So Tara, and then a gentleman named Andy asked a question last show. We'll be getting something to him. And then someone gave a statement. I'll find out who that is, and we'll get a shirt to them too. But Tara says, what has been the biggest struggle in your recovery?
Like in my entire recovery?
Well, let's before you go to that, let's talk a little bit about how you got addicted, what your, did you feel disconnected when you were a kid? What was, where'd you grow up?
For me, it's a little, I grew up in Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And I always say I grew up with two parents that, loved each other to death. They loved us to death. They did everything they possibly could to, raise a good family. And I say that because it doesn't matter, right? Because I'm an alcoholic and it has nothing to do with my childhood or how I was raised. So I always like to say that, because I kind of came in looking for a reason, something to blame, and I didn't have one, right? And so for me, it always just, I don't know, it started around like 12 years old with, smoking weed, things like that, and it eventually progressed. I ended up in a hospital when I was in high school for a little while due to it. Then I got out, and then by the time I was like 24, 25, I was drinking pretty much a daily basis, and I didn't even realize how that happened. And I didn't know it happened until I tried to stop. And then once I tried to stop, it was like, whoa, why can't I stop? Like, it didn't occur to me that I wouldn't be able to stop.
But did you feel like different from other people?
I mean, I guess I think for me, like when I felt better when I was, drinking or whatever.
You felt
and
connected?
I feel, like my spirit woke up, right? Like they talk about a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
My spirit woke up, came alive, right? So that was definitely the case when I would drink or whatever. And but then it got to a point where it was almost like, I mean, I went through college. I got a degree in psychology from UMass Boston while drinking. And then all of a sudden, everything on the outside for me looked really good. I had a full-time job. I was a supervisor at the job I worked at. I had a degree. I had a car. I had all this stuff. And but I hated myself. Right. And I looked in the mirror and I hated the person staring back and I was broken. And I didn't know how I got in that place again, right? And so, what happened was a friend of mine had mentioned going to some church basements and whatever, and I didn't know about detox. I didn't know about treatment. Like, I'm sure it was available, but I didn't know about it, so I detoxed at home on my couch.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. really intense, and I just thought I had the flu, really. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know anything about alcoholism, and so, when I got sober, I met a woman who, we can say steps. I did my due diligence, but so she basically took me through the 12 steps in a 12-step program, and so that happened, and I had an experience with that, and
was it in a church basement?
Yes, and I found and I found, but I found a power greater than myself, and to me it's God, and I've kind of I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, and I got away from that, Fontbonne Academy. In Milton,
Milton.
College prep school, really great school, and I got away from that, and now I've kind of come full circle on the other side of that, and I'm back with my initial childhood beliefs and stuff. So I mean, but I found God through alcoholism. I mean, through a 12-step program.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. We'll be fine.
Sorry. It's so hard not to say it. So that's kind of my story, and so struggles for me. It's it talks about. I guess I was taught the steps, right, teach you how to live life, and they teach you how to go through these struggles, right? And so 11 years later, I've had a lot of, I lost Steve in sobriety, right? I have buried a lot of close people. I lost my dad, and so how do I get through these struggles, right? I have a fellowship. I have people around me that hold me up when I can't hold myself, and I have a God that will bring me through that stuff, right? And I have people I have a sponsor. I have people that I can call that are going to walk me through these things, right? So the biggest struggles, I don't turn out to be the biggest gifts, right? So when I got the call that my dad was he had been sick on and off for years, and when I got the call that he was in Florida at the time to fly down and go be with him, my thought was okay, I called my sponsor and she said, you're going to make it about you or you're going to make it about him? Make it about him. And I and I got on my knees and I got with God and I got on a plane that, 2 hours later, and I flew to Florida and I made it about him. And it was the most spiritual experience that I could have even imagined, the hardest thing in my whole life, right? And the one thing that I always thought, like, that's the thing that's going to make me drink. That's the thing I'm not going to make it through, right? That was the thing that brought me the closest to God, right? Like, I got to hold his hand. I got to be there when the priest came in and he said his last rites. I got to, like, be that person, and like that's not easy. And I also got to be there for my mom and my brothers, and like we got to be together and like do this together, and like that's a gift, right? So that's something that sobriety's given me that I could never repay, right? And that's something that people, I think, struggling, they don't see that, right? And I think if I was still drinking, like, I don't know if I would have got on that plane.
Right.
I don't. Like, I can say, but if I did, I can guarantee I would have been drunk at that hospital and it would have made it about me, right? Yeah. Like, it would have been poor me, and I would have been, you know, and so, like, that, I guess, so, like, the struggles, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, the struggles in my recovery usually are like the small stuff that like I need like somebody else to look at me. You know what I mean? To give me perspective on and like see it from a new pair of eyes, kind of thing. But like mostly like those big things that happen, like getting through it sober, it's like not even an issue, right? Because I have these tools set up for me. Right. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's to me. I get goosebumps on that because when I shot my first bag of heroin the night my father died. So I went from, so my mother was in the 5th floor at the hospital in Lowell. My father was pronounced dead in the ER. And I had a kid meet me and he shot a bag and I was doing the perks.
Have you read Richie's book?
Right. No, not yet.
I'll give you, well, he has many books, but I'll give you the book, I'm a Heroin Addict. It's so good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I you know, I had this kid that was a Vietnam vet meet me at the place and he shot a bag in my arm.
Wow.
And I went up to tell my mother because I couldn't go tell my mother.
Right.
So I was like, and then 7 days later, I gave the eulogy at St. Patrick's in Lowell, and I was like, I had shot 2 bags earlier.
Wow.
You know, myself. And so I didn't have that chance to be there.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was a little different because I found him dead and he wasn't really dead. It was a crazy thing, but that's a great experience to be able to be sober.
Right.
And be, you know, hold his hand.
Yeah.
And
the
say
years
goodbye.
before that to be sober, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like I was sober for like 9 years before that, so I got to spend a lot of good time, you know, and that is like a gift too.
That was the that was the biggest thing about. I still cry when I'm talking about this, but that was the biggest thing for me about that is that I never like he died in my arms. And I was like, don't die, you son of a bitch.
Right.
Because I couldn't have that time that you had with your dad.
Yeah.
I was like, all the stuff left unsaid, I can never say to him. You had that.
Well, you can.
I can, but you know,
I know.
What you said was really moving to me and gave me chills because that screwed with me for years.
Right.
And I couldn't see every morning when I woke up and saw that vision of him and me holding him in his arms. I couldn't do it, so I had to get high again.
Right.
You know, and you're so better. You know, it's a great comment that just came in. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that you had that experience.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, and because it's something that you carry with you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely,
you know?
Absolutely.
We got another.
Yeah, we got. It's a shout out.
Megan.
Megan.
Hey, girl.
Wouldn't be here without Amy and DMMF. Yeah.
Tell me about Megan.
Megan is also somebody who received a scholarship through us to go.
Thanks
I think
for watching,
from treatment to
Megan.
sober living, we scholarshiped her. But I've known Megan also for a long time, and she's definitely someone who was in and out before, and then got to kind of have a scholarship.
So
through
your
us
foundation is doing really awesome things for people.
Yeah.
Your help.
Yeah, and
this is huge, Amy.
It's about getting the word out too.
Yeah.
Is like I feel like a lot of people don't know about us, so